Okay, it's 2 o'clock. Is everybody ready to get started?
I think we're ready, Kat.
Awesome. Everybody's here. Welcome all of our wonderful guests to the Holiday Shipping Best Practices for eBay Sellers webinar. This webinar is for you, eBay sellers, top rated and otherwise, and we are so happy you're here. There is a chat room over to the right if you'll look at your GoToWebinar toolbar, and you can type in any questions you have during the webinar there. We probably won't interfere with our speakers, but at the end we have a lot of time set for Q&A, and we would love to have your input. So please feel free to enter your questions in the chat window at any time. Today's presenters are Eric Nash from Stamps.com. Eric is the Director of Online Marketing at Stamps, where he has worked since 2006. He has been involved in the online marketing space for the last 12 years. Eric's attention is focused on new customer acquisition for Stamps.com. Our other presenter today is Mark Levine. You all know him as the BubbleFast man. Mark and Robin Levine run a family business, BubbleFast, which is an online shipping supply company. BubbleFast began in 1999 with the sale of one single roll of bubble wrap on eBay. BubbleFast has now grown to where they had to move it out of their house and into a warehouse. Mark and Robin own and operate their own site, BubbleFast.com, along with selling on eBay, Amazon, Bonanza, and Attaway. What is truly amazing is that BubbleFast is still a two-person business. So when you give them a call, you'll get Mark or Robin answering. Welcome to Eric and Mark. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you, Kat. Looking forward to it.
We are blessed by your giving us your attention and education today. The Top Rated Seller webinar series is sponsored by Billboards at PageMage. Don't let buyers pass you by. Stamps.com, postage at your PC. Make the post office come to you. And Outright, get your accounting on autopilot. TeraPeak for market research for all eBay sellers. And our other sponsor is eBay Radio. Don't miss an episode. You can learn a lot about selling on eBay at eBay Radio. Our next webinar, be sure you've registered at topratedsellerwebinars.com because our next webinar is coming up soon, Wednesday, November 16th, 11 a.m. Pacific Time to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our presenter will be Griff Griffith, the Dean of eBay Education. You can find out about all the new Top Rated Seller webinars if you sign up for our newsletter at topratedsellerwebinars.com. Housekeeping for today. Don't you know we always have that? Is this webinar being recorded? Yes, it is. If you've signed up, you will be sent a link to the recording by tonight. Will we be distributing the presentation slides? Absolutely, yes. We will add the slides as a PDF download to our topratedsellerwebinars.com website. Check back tomorrow for those. If you're having audio problems, please remember that some computers have difficulty connecting. If you're on the phone and the audio is not up to snuff, try hanging up and calling back in. If you're listening on the computer and you just can't get the audio, try calling in on your phone. GoToWebinar works very well in both ways. And now I think we're ready for our to introduce our speakers. Mark, are you ready to tell us all about packaging tips?
I am here and I am ready.
All right, take it away, Mark.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank Chris Taylor of PageMage and Billboards for putting together this Top Rated Seller webinar series, and I want to thank you, Kat, for hosting it for us. So for today, we're going to talk about packaging tips that are going to help you get through the holiday season. And the first one that I want to talk about is make sure that you pay attention to the deadlines for each shipping service that you may need. So if you need to know what they are, you can always go onto Google and type in the service, and they will tell you on their websites what the best days are to ship your packages to get them there on time. Now, if you're going to ship with the post office, just look at the slide right now, and you'll see on the right that all the dates are there for when you want your packages to arrive by service from the post office, so take good notes. And also, please be aware that if you're delivering anything to APOs or U.S. territories or anything international, it will take more time. So make sure you give yourself enough time and ship at least 1 or 2 days in advance to make sure there are no weather conditions that may delay your package. Now, very important, you're sending out holiday gifts mostly, and you want to make sure that they arrive in good shape. So proper packaging is very, very important. You need to use strong boxes and use new boxes. A lot of times throughout the year you may try to save some money and use used boxes, but it is a known fact that used boxes can lose at least up to 50% of their strength. So try to use new boxes. That's one place you don't want to scrimp. And use lots of cushioning. You want to fill in all the spaces that you can. And even if you're putting clothes that you don't think need any cushioning, wrap them in plastic, because your package may be going across the country where it's going to rain or it's going to snow, and you don't know if inside the box is going to get wet. So make sure everything inside is covered well and all of your spaces are filled. Don't leave any room for movement. When you're done, give the package what's called the shake test. And if you hear things rattling, you need to put in some more packaging. Packing peanuts work very, very well as void fill. Some people like to use newspaper and newsprint because it's cheap. I will tell you that that is not really a good idea, because newspaper, when you crumple it up, does compress and will leave gaps when it gets moved around during the shipping system. So use something like air pillows or packing peanuts, or just use extra bubble wrap. Only use tape that is designed to seal boxes. Don't use masking tape. Don't use Scotch tape. Use a good tape. 2.0 mil or 2.5 mil tape is really good. And I will caution you that sometimes it's not just the tape that could be bad. A lot of boxes have coating on them that makes even the really best tape not stick real well. So what I always like to do is I'll take the tape and wrap it around the whole box, or just put a piece on the top and a piece on the bottom so that the ends of the tape attach to each other. So tape sticking to tape will not come off. Whereas if it's just in the cardboard box, it may slip. So tape to tape, and use good tape. And also you want to use indelible ink on the labels for the same reason as before with the weather conditions. If it gets rainy or snowy and your label gets wet, you don't want your ink to run and find out that your package doesn't make it where it goes. Now some people will use regular ink that's not indelible and just put tape over the label thinking that that's going to be good enough. Again, I caution you that there are some labels, like direct thermal labels, that do not have a coating on them, and the tackiness of the tape can actually remove the direct thermal ink. So either use the good labels with coating on them, or if you handwrite your labels, make sure you use a really good ink like a Sharpie. Now you want to save some money. If you're going to send a couple of packages to the same place, it's best to try to combine packages whenever possible. Whatever shipping system you use, every package has a base rate, and then after that base rate, there is a price that they charge you per pound. So if you have 2 packages, you're going to have 2 base rates. But if you can figure out a way to use one bigger package or tape the 2 packages together, you're only going to have 1 base rate. So the incremental difference is very small. So for example, if you have a 5 pounds worth of stuff going from Chicago to San Francisco, which is zone 7, it'll cost you $8.36 for a 2-pound package, or $10.44 for a 3-pound package. That's $18.80 combined. But if you put them together into one package, it's only going to cost you $15.09. You're going to save $3.71. The only thing I want to caution you about, though, before you combine all of your packages, is make sure that by doing so, you're not upgrading your mail class. So, for example, you know that first class mail has a 13-ounce limit. So if you have 2 things that are 11 ounces each, and you put them both together, now you're bumping yourself up to priority. So that may actually indeed be more money than 2 separate first class packages. So make sure that you know your rates. And in fact, the best thing you can do is use a chart that will show you by weight, class, and by zone what the best package is to use. And then you can examine your costs much better that way in advance. Now, a lot of times during the holiday seasons, you're going to be sending toys or other items that have batteries in them. And so it's our advice that if at all possible, you try to take the batteries out before you ship. And there's plenty of reasons for this. First of all, you don't want the batteries to be going off while it's in transit because they can lose their charge. And also, with today's security out there, if your package starts talking, it may become suspicious, especially if it's going international. So you want to disable them if at all possible. But if you do disable them, make sure, once again, you don't have them in contact with any other metal inside the package, because once again, they can lose their charge. You want your package to get there as you want and use, and you want the batteries to be fully charged so there's no inconvenience for the recipient to go out to the store to buy new batteries. And finally, it's very important to think green. Save the environment. It is estimated that an extra 1 million tons of waste each week is generated during the holiday seasons. So if at all possible, try to reuse packaging as long as it's still good stuff. So you can reuse your packing peanuts, you can reuse your bubble wrap. You're going to be receiving a lot of packages on your own, so try to save what you can, or try to buy recycled or recyclable shipping supplies if at all possible. Again, the one area where I caution you is try not to skip on the boxes, because those do lose strength and you don't want to jeopardize your package during the holiday seasons.
Wow, that was a lot of information, Mark. I got about 3 pages of notes already. Thank you.
Well, we ship to shippers, and all of our customers have taught us over the last 12 years all of these shipping tips, so it's our pleasure to be able to share them back to you.
Fantastic. Well, if you have questions for Mark, please put them in the chat and we'll get to the Q&A at the end. Eric, I believe you're up next with some shipping tips.
Sounds good, and thank you, Mark, and thank you, Kat. And as Kat mentioned earlier, my name's Eric Nash, and I work for Stamps.com. We're a shipping software for USPS postage. I'm going to be handling the shipping segment of today's webinar. And of course, Mark and Pat also will be making some comments, hopefully, throughout this section, since they both ship lots of packages and are experts in shipping as well. Before we get to the shipping segment, though, I wanted to try to launch a quick poll. I'm going to put it up live right now. And the poll is basically, are you selling to international buyers right now? We'll leave it up here for a few seconds. Want to get everybody's answer. Looks like so far, everybody, there's quite a few people are shipping to international locations, which is good stuff, because I've got a slide here later to talk about that. About one more second. Okay, I'm going to close it now, and let me show you guys the results here. You can see about 69% of you are currently shipping internationally, which is great news. Great way to grow your eBay sales, but also looks like 17% feel it's a little too complicated. So hopefully we'll have some slides here later today to help simplify that process for you. Okay, so back to the shipping segment here. Let me get to my first shipping slide here. All right. Let's see. Okay, got that closed. Okay, everything's going good here. For my first shipping tip, I wanted to discuss a very simple tip, yet one that often gets overlooked somehow. And that tip is basically to be prepared as much as possible for the big increase in sales that are going to start happening here during the holidays, which is essentially right now. Most of you are going to probably start seeing your holiday sales start increasing pretty much within the next week or so. The more prepared you are for this rush, the easier it will be to get your packages out the door and on their way to a happy buyer, which of course happy buyers mean more revenue hopefully down the line. Whenever you have downtime, we like to suggest for sellers to try to pre-package their top-selling products. Most buyers usually always have 2 or 3 products that really sell like gangbusters and really are the backbone of their sales. And so if you can process these top-selling products and get them pre-packaged, you'll be able to get your shipping label printed and process and get those boxes out into the mail stream a lot more quickly and a lot more efficiently. So that's going to basically help you save time for other tasks. Also, now is the time to be ordering all of your shipping supplies. The USPS offers over 50 types of free boxes, and as Mark mentioned, BubbleFast has got a ton of different shipping supplies that's available. So order your supplies now so you're not stuck without boxes when the sales are coming in. It's a huge time stop for you, and so you want to be as efficient as possible. Also, if you're finding that you're hitting the maximum quantities of free boxes that are offered from the USPS site. And I really find in talking with eBay sellers that they find this is a problem with regional rate boxes or flat rate padded envelopes, since the USPS has some small limits. Try calling the USPS High Volume Shipping Supply Center. They can get you up an account and get some supplies sent out to you in a lot higher quantity that you probably would need. And then another good tip is to invest in a high-speed thermal printer. The printers can spit out about 40 to 50 labels in a minute, and that can obviously really speed up your shipping program. And you can find a high-speed thermal printer on eBay for $200 roughly, $250. It's a significant investment, but I think you'll find that in time management and savings, you really will find that it will really help out. All right, let's go to our next slide here. And for my next tip, I wanted to discuss batch printing your shipping labels. Batch label printing is a great way to process more orders in a short amount of time. Many sellers suggest batch printing labels for the same or very similar products. In our example here, I've got an iPod or an iPhone or whatever you want to call it. You could, if you had, say you had 25 sales in a particular day and 5 of those sales were, say, an iPod, if you could try to print all those 5 iPod shipping labels together at the same time. And by printing them together, you'll be able to pack the boxes quicker and get those labels printed and stuck on the boxes and pushed out to the into the mail stream in a more efficient manner. So it's going to save you time and hopefully equate to happier buyers. And if you're selling products in multiple channels, such as eBay, say, and then maybe you're selling on Amazon as well, or Etsy, or even your own website, make sure you're using shipping software that will import delivery addresses for you from each separate marketplace. And the marketplace, I mean like eBay, Amazon, these different sites. Using shipping software, you'll have a shipping label management system, essentially. And you'll be able to manage and print all the different labels for each of your orders from each separate marketplace. So eBay, Amazon, all these different places. And that could even be with multiple eBay stores. Many of you have a lot of different eBay stores, and so using shipping software will allow you to manage all those stores and all those shipping labels from one centralized location. Along with importing the delivery address, Stamps.com and other shipping software also post back the delivery confirmation numbers to marketplaces. So that's a really helpful method to streamline your shipping program and most importantly, eliminate cut and paste processes, which are time, they take a lot of time, as well as they're prone to possibly having errors. You could potentially post the wrong delivery confirmation number back into the wrong sale by doing cut and paste, and that obviously could confuse the buyer significantly and obviously cut down in your overall process. All right, for our next shipping tip, I wanted to focus on the use of priority mail regional rate boxes. These boxes were introduced back in January, and they were created to utilize the space better inside a USPS truck. There's 2 sizes of the boxes, and each size has 2 separate types. They have a top loading and a side loading. They're a little bit small. Each box is a little bit smaller than the typical flat rate box you would see. But the main part is don't let the regional name fool you. Regional rate boxes offer huge cost savings for shipments in the seller's local region, obviously, to kind of go along with their name, but also for packages traveling across the entire country. In particular, the regional rate box A is the lowest cost option for packages traveling across the U.S., weighing between anywhere 2.1 ounces and above up to 15 pounds. I mean, if you look at this example here, you can see a 4-pound package from LA to New York City via a regional rate box A is only $9.37, compared to a medium flat rate for $10.50, which is $1.13 more, or even priority mail, which is $14.62 or $5.25 more. So if you're using priority mail now for this particular product, you're spending essentially $5.25 more for every package you're sending that's going maybe cross country. So, so definitely look at regional rate boxes. They're a great option for all eBay sellers. You can only get regional rate boxes from the online site, and you have to use online postage software, shipping software, to print the labels. But they are a great money saver, and we highly suggest everybody use them. For our next shipping tip, I want to talk about the benefits of using envelopes versus boxes. Now this tip obviously won't work for everyone, since you really need to have a durable product. But if you do have a product, and an example could be like golf balls or maybe some durable clothing or something that doesn't need the protection of a box, try using Priority Mail Tyvek envelopes or a Priority Mail flat rate padded envelope. For the Tyvek envelopes, I'm sure many of you have seen them. It's a material that's, I think, DuPont makes. It's a very durable material. It's very hard to even rip it. These Tyvek envelopes weigh only about 1/2 ounce, and a padded flat rate envelope weighs about 1 ounce, compared to a typical Priority Mail box, which would weigh 4.5 ounces. And the reason why we suggest this is that it can really help keep your overall shipping weight down and into a lower weight class. And if we look here at this example of a 12-ounce product going from LA to Vegas, if the product is 12 ounces and you're adding maybe a Tyvek envelope or a padded rate envelope, you're still going to be in that 1 pound rate. And remember, the USPS always averages up. So if you're 2 pounds, 5 ounces, you're really essentially paying for a 3 pound rate. And so these lighter material envelopes can really help keep you, if you're on that borderline. Say you have a package that's 2 pounds, 2 ounces, using the envelope might allow you to get down into that 1 pound rate, or that 2 pound rate, excuse me. So it's a very good good option for you. For our next tip, I want to talk about scan forms. And scan forms, they've been around for 2 years, but unfortunately a lot of people still don't use them. And it really can help communication with your buyers. I'm sure all of you have probably encountered a time when a package with delivery confirmation did not get that many scans throughout the USPS transit process. And in fact, by definition, the delivery confirmation numbers are just that. They're supposed to scan them when the package is being delivered to the buyer. Fortunately, the USPS has made a real big push in trying to turn this into a tracking system and not just delivery confirmation. And so they're really pushing hard to get more scans into the system as a package does travels to its destination. And like I said, scan forms were created about 2 years back, and they're hoping to turn that system into a tracking system. If you don't know what a scan form is, it's basically a summary page with one big barcode on it that would include all the packages you are sending on a particular day. You can see an example here to the right. It's got one big barcode on there, and above you'd have the numbers of boxes you're sending by mail class. Once basically when you're using your shipping software, you could assign a particular package or a group of packages to a particular scan form. And then that way, when a USPS employee is picking up the packages, they only need to scan one form to get all those packages entered into the mail stream. And once those packages are entered into the mail stream, the buyer, hopefully you've communicated the delivery confirmation number to the buyer, they can then click on that delivery confirmation number and see that the package has actually left the seller's hands as in the USPS transit process. So it helps that communication, will hopefully help eliminate any emails or communication to the seller saying, hey, is my package left? Has it left, have you sent it yet? And so just as an example, if you had 15 packages going out on a particular day, in the old way, the USPS would have to scan each of those packages' delivery confirmation number in order to get them entered into the system. It's very easy for a USPS employee to just miss a package or two, or maybe they just are too slammed since it's the holiday period coming up, and they just don't have the time to scan all these different packages. But if you're using a scan form, you're making it very easy for the USPS employee to get all the packages entered into the mail stream. All they basically have to do is just scan that one barcode, and all those packages will then be uploaded into the mail stream or into the tracking system later that day. Every postal carrier, including everyone that goes and drops mail off at your house, carries a handheld scanner that will work with scan forms. So every single person can do this on their daily mail pickup, or of course they'll do it at the post office. If you go and take your packages in, a lot of people will do is they drop a particular package, a group of packages off, and they'll have a scan form right there for them. So it's a really great tip and a great tool for eBay sellers to use to get that tracking and just improve the overall shipping process. Okay, for our next tip, I wanted to talk about methods to keep you out of the long lines at the post office. As we all know, these long lines can be very, very slow during the holidays, and it's really a total inefficient use of your time. And unfortunately, the lines are probably only going to be getting longer as the USPS deals with their financial issues and closing more post offices in the months ahead. But the good news is if you're shipping at least one Priority Mail or Express Mail package, and that can be Priority Mail International or Express Mail International for that matter, the USPS will come to your home or office and they'll pick up those packages for free, absolutely no charge to you. And you can also include all of your other packages. So say you're a DVD or you're sending a lot of media mail. What they'll do is they'll pick up that one Priority Mail, and then they'll pick up all those other media mail packages or even first-class parcel packages that you have. It's a really easy process to set up. You can either use the USPS website, or if you're using shipping software, most all of them have a carrier pickup tab and tool to use. You basically tell the USPS how many packages you have and an estimated total weight, and then they'll come and pick them up for free. And you can also make a little special notes, like saying, I want to have packages picked up at a certain location at my home or office, such as the side door, the back door. They're coming to pick them up, and the best part is you don't even need to be there when they pick up the packages. As long as all the postage is paid on the label, they're going to pick up those packages and be on their way. You can set it up for a free carrier pickup to be a weekly type event, or even a daily event. And if you're shipping lots of packages, once you're doing it daily, that your USPS mail carrier will start to know. And so after a certain period, you probably won't even need to be required to fill out the formal carrier pickup form, because they're just going to know they're coming to pick up packages. So this is obviously a great time saver and a great service to keep you focused on revenue-generating activities, especially here during the holidays.
Eric, I absolutely love this free carrier pickup, and I've lived in several different places, and I always check with my personal mail delivery person and ask them how they want me to handle it, because some of them do like you to still fill out that daily pickup because it gives them extra hours or minutes on their route based on how many pickups they have. So I encourage our audience to talk to their local delivery driver and ask them how they prefer it. Also, you can schedule these pickups up to 3 months in advance. So if you actually have a pickup scheduled pretty much every day, you don't have to go on the USPS website every night and schedule it. You can schedule in advance, which I think is a real time saver.
Kat, that's a great point that you bring up, and something you mentioned in the first part of that comment was, talking to your USPS mail carrier and kind of establishing a relationship. I think that's really, really important to do. As we enter the holidays, I really highly suggest all eBay sellers, talk to their USPS mail carrier and let them know what you've got going on, and kind of try to prepare them for the upcoming rush of packages. So that's great advice.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. For our next shipping tip, and I wanted to talk about an easy way for eBay sellers to grow your sales. And the good news is, based on our poll, looks like a lot of you are already doing this. But that's with opening up your listings to international buyers. eBay's blog, I recently read that 49% of the shoppers on the eBay's U.S. site are located outside of the U.S., which is an amazing stat, I thought. While I'm sure all these people are not actual buyers and maybe looking for different products, it's still a huge number of people that could potentially bid or buy your products. And opening up your sales to the international markets doesn't have to be complex. You can start with the main English-speaking countries such as Canada, the UK, or Australia. Obviously communication with these buyers is going to be much easier, and the countries all have sophisticated postal systems in place already. So it's a little simpler process to get moving. And also, if you're nervous, you can always buy package insurance for your international shipments. It's fairly cheap, and it will help you get peace of mind as you're just starting out the process. So it's very, very good to get moving. One area of international sales that scares a lot of sellers here is just dealing with the different forms, and particularly customs forms. The good news is that if you're buying your postage online via, say, eBay shipping or PayPal shipping or a service like Stamps.com, they make the process very simple for you. There's no need to print any forms or stock up on special labels because the forms are built right into the shipping software. The program will automatically import your delivery address over from your shipping label, and then it also will include your signature and a date. And also, more importantly, is there are two types of customs forms. There's the 2976 and the 2976A. Essentially, they're the same form. One's kind of a one-part and the other one's a three-part. Shipping software will choose the appropriate customs form for you. So there's really no decision-making on your process. It's going to do it automatically. It's kind of based on the mail class and the package weight and the value. You still need to input some of the basic data, like what's inside the package and the country of origin and value, and whether it's merchandise, a gift, or documents. But the process is just much more streamlined, and it makes it much easier to start shipping internationally. So it's really a good way to start. And like I say, start off with the English-speaking countries if you want to get started. All right. Another important shipping topic is with dealing with country restrictions. Every country has very unique restrictions as to what they'll allow be shipped into it. Some countries have restrictions on gold and currency and coins and things like that, and others have certain restrictions on animal byproducts or leather goods or things like that. And so the list could be very, very long sometimes. And also the list can change based on political or public safety issues. Things like the bird flu virus that happened a couple years back caused a lot of new restrictions to be included. So really using these country restrictions, and you can see an example here on the right of of restrictions for France. This is from the Stamps.com software. The goal is basically to know if your product can be shipped into a country before you open up your listing to that specific country. So so knowing in advance is obviously a very good thing. You'd hate to have your package stuck in customs and then sent back to you, because that's only going to make for a very unhappy buyer. And so we went through and found some of the odd items that are prohibited from being shipped into a particular country. And you can see some interesting things here with Germany, with playing cards, clocks, all types of shoes going into Italy. Very interesting there. And most toys, except for toys that are made completely of wood. Ireland doesn't allow straw hats, and I believe that's any type of straw products. And then used clothing in China. So there's lots of things, including even pins valued over $5 sent to Canada. So it's a very long and complex list. So make sure you look at these restrictions and prohibitions before you start opening up your country list.
It's a very funny list, Eric. It's a hilarious list in some ways.
It really is. It's I mean, for people, if you look at the list on the right, you can see a lot of things like live plants seems to make sense, radioactive materials, weapons, that type of stuff. But when you get to these more nitty-gritty items, you're absolutely right, Kat. It is a very funny and odd list, and the list only gets bigger from here. So
Well, I love that it pops up when I'm using stamps.com, so I don't have to actually go to the website and check, because I would never think about not sending a straw hat to Ireland. I mean, that just would never occur to me.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I'm pretty sure that I would remember not to ship human remains to France. I'm pretty sure I could remember that one, but some of these other ones are a little odd, like the used clothing. Thank you.
Yeah, and you know, and what it is you could just do an innocent mistake. You know, you may just assume it's a very general product and thinking that you could send it, but again, it gives potential to have some problems with buyers if it does get stuck in customs. And so, anyway, you want to avoid that and know it beforehand. All right, so as a thank you for joining our webinar today, Mark from BubbleFast has a great offer for everyone to get 5% off any of their shipping supplies they're going to need for the holidays here. Just use promo code webinar during your checkout at BubbleFast.com, and you're going to get 5% off your supplies. And then also, Stamps.com, we just recently published a new holiday shipping survival guide. It's kind of a collection of best shipping practices and important shipping deadlines to remember for the holidays here. You know, it's a free downloadable PDF, very easy to get, and also, one thing that we put out a couple months back, but everybody seems to really enjoy it, including Mark. Mark's been one of our biggest fans of this, is our Priority Mail Rate Guide. What this does is it gives you a bunch of different weights and then all the different zones, and it's just a little grid that basically shows you which is the cheapest priority mail rate that you can find between priority mail, regular priority mail, regional rate, and flat rate. And so it's very simple. You kind of look at the weight and go across and look over, and you'll see the top, at the very top of the grid, you'll see the lowest price down to the highest. So this is also free. All these links, including Mark's BubbleFast webinar promo code, we're going to include in the email that's going to be sent out following up this webinar. So you can either use these URLs here, or also know that we're going to send this in the webinar. And I believe we're also going to try to make this actual presentation in a PDF format that we'll include as well. So. So it's good stuff, and we encourage everybody to use all the resources out there.
So, Eric?
Yeah.
So, you know, if you don't mind, this chart you were talking about, if you don't mind, I'd like to share my experiences with it. You presented this chart to us several months ago. And as you said, the chart has all the weights across the bottom and all the zones across the top. And then in the grid is each kind of priority service, every regional box or every flat rate box or just regular priority. But these are the commercial rates, not the regular retail rates. So anybody who buys postage online, whether it's through Stamps, USPS.com, or eBay or whatever, is eligible for these discounted rates. And BubbleFast, as much as we ship, and we ship a lot, learned from this chart that there was a lot of items we were shipping via ground because we thought for sure it was going to be cheaper, that because of your chart, we actually found they were cheaper to go priority mail with the post office, and you personally have helped us and save money. So I want to thank you for that and highly encourage everybody to download this PDF and put it side by side with any other shipping methods you have, and you'll see you will be able to save some money.
Awesome, man. I love to hear that, Mark, and it's cool because when we first introduced this, we really had I think we did an eBay on location in March, and I had a hard time kind of describing it to people, and people would look at it and see all these numbers and say, oh my gosh, what is this? And so I'm glad you're able to see the benefits of it, and it's going into good use. So thank you very much for that.
And if you don't mind, I have one more other quick comment on the prior slide that I want to talk about.
Sure.
You had a slide about the regional rate boxes, and I think that this is one of the most ingenious things the post office has ever done. We have regular flat rate boxes anywhere across the country, and you're going to spend, you're going to lose a little money. It's going to cost you the same amount of money for zone 7 or zone 2. So maybe you're overspending a little bit on your flat rate box in your closed zones, and maybe you're spending a little bit less money in your far zones, and you hope in the end that it averages out. But these regional rate boxes are ingenious because they're flat rate within each region. So it's a different price for each zone. So you're more accurately spending the right amount of money based on how far away your package is going. And I will tell you that as a commodity shipper, BubbleFast has actually recreated some of its products based on these regional rate boxes. So, for example, we were selling direct thermal labels for our Zebra printers, and we were selling them as a 6-pack. Well, we discovered that we could fit 5 in one of these regional rate boxes. So now we have a new product that nobody else has, and that's 5 rolls of direct thermal labels, and we can do it cheaper than anybody because we know exactly how much it's going to cost anywhere in the country because it fits perfectly in one of these boxes. So if you sell a commodity, take a look at these boxes, get one of each, try to stuff as much as you can into them up to the weight limits, and see if you can't save yourself some money and save your customers some money as well and introduce new products to the system. And you'll be unique.
Yeah, these things are definitely great money savers, and so I mean, really, everybody should look at them. And you know, for some reason, a lot of people still aren't using them. So really, hopefully, everybody will take a look at it and use Mark's experience, and especially creating new products is even, you know, it's a great idea. So they're a great opportunity. You know, and the good news is the USPS has introduced a lot of new products here, and I imagine that's going to continue to occur. So every year in January is when they kind of introduce their new rates, similar to UPS and FedEx. And so I would expect to see some new products coming out again in this January.
Well, those are genius ideas, Mark. Thank you for sharing that. And I think the handout itself is a brilliant idea because I think you're talking about how some people are not using them, Eric, and you're curious about that. I think it's just confusing. I find them very confusing. So this webinar and this handout and Mark's advice are going to help me a lot. And we better get started on questions because, guys, we have 41 questions.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, Mark, the first one is for you, and this is called, what's the most common mistake in packaging?
I would have to say the most common mistake in packaging is just not using enough void fill. And you may think your product is protected, or you may think, well, it's a game, it's in a box, no big deal, and it shakes around in the box and it's going to come damaged, or going to have a corner that's bent and just not arrive in pristine shape. So it may cost you a little extra on the shipping supplies up front, but it's going to save you a lot more money on the other end on reshipping the product or refunding your customer. So use enough supplies, give the package the shake test, make sure nothing's rattling, and you'll get a nice, safe package delivered to your customer.
Awesome. Question number 2 is, I guess, for both of you. This is from Carrie Bazzini of Elegant KB. What about insurance? I'm about to open a claim with USPS. Do you have any advice for me? And is there a better option for insurance that I should be using rather than using the USPS insurance?
Well, I could certainly take that one. The USPS insurance, you know, there will be a process that you'll have to go to and fill out some forms. They do an investigation basically and try to understand where the package was either lost or you know, broken or whatever it may be, and then they'll come back and they'll hopefully refund you. You know, they won't have any problems and they'll refund you your money. I believe that process is I think a minimum of 30 days. So, but it is, you know, it is the USPS, and so that insurance is good and it's not going to go anywhere or anything. So. There are secondary market insurance companies. You know, Stamps.com has their own. We use a company called Parcel Insurance Partners, PIP. Shipsurance is another one. UPIC is another one. In those examples, you basically insure your product, and then you print your shipping label, and then you'll go in and log into a particular website, enter that information of what you're sending and delivery address and the value of it, and then they'll insure that package. It's usually a little bit cheaper, or sometimes even significantly cheaper than the USPS insurance rates. And the process to handle a claim is a little easier and a little quicker, too, to get your money back. So, and again, Stamps.com offers it as well. It's inserted into the actual software, so it's integrated. So you can definitely, either works, and I believe some of the secondary markets have higher values in what you can insure as well.
And I've heard the same thing from other sellers, that it is easier to process a claim that way. Any comments, Mark? Are you ready for the next question?
Well, I'll just add that if you're using a ground service, then the first $100 is automatically covered anyway, and you can add for minimal amounts of dollars a per value increments for additional insurance.
Okay, great. The next question is from Amy Forrest. He's saying that you mentioned a lot of different sizes for the free boxes. If we call that higher quantities phone number, are there more selections? And is there a way to get them faster than taking 7 to 10 days?
In terms of the sizes, you're going to find all the sizes on the USPS website. So, or say if you go to prioritymail.com or whatever, it sends you basically to the USPS.com website. You can find all the different sizes that they have available there. The high volume, I believe, like on the USPS site, they only allow you to order 15 regional rate boxes at a time, I think, or maybe it's 3 packs, or maybe it's 45. But the number is limited, and the time does take a little while. Basically, when you call that high volume shipping supply center, you're going to set up an account with them. You'll eventually have your own sales rep that would be contacting you, and if you have questions or problems, and so they'll kind of administer the whole process. You're not going to have any types of different sizes or packages or anything like that. It's going to be the same stuff that the USPS offers, unless you're doing really, really big volume. If you're doing significant volume, and I'm not sure what that quantity is, but I think it's something like 100,000 packages in a year or some incredibly large amount.
Truckloads at a time.
Yeah. They will create their own box for you. So if you're shipping a box, they'll actually create a box for you and put your logo on it, along with the USPS logo. But
and it's still free.
And it's still free.
May we all aspire to that.
Yeah.
But I think that's beyond most of our audience, but may we all aspire to that.
I mean, the good news is with that high volume shipping supply center is they will get volume, much more significant volumes sent out to you. And in terms of time delivery, I'm not sure what the time delivery would be. I think that since you're more integrated into the system, it might be a couple days quicker, but I would not, wouldn't bet my life on that.
Okay.
Eric, can't you order like every other day, or do you have to wait till the first package arrives before you order more boxes of the same size?
I believe you can go in there and order. They do have I think in the system, they'll basically put a backlog until they get some of them out to you. Really what they want to do is they're trying to connect your shipping volume. They want to make sure you're not using these boxes to store moving supplies in or use them for something else. They want to make sure you're using them for actual shipping purposes. And so once you set up an account with them, they'll be able to have a little bit more visibility into what you're actually shipping in your account and things like that. And so they'll actually be able to see that you are using them for their intended purpose, which is shipping. With the USPS, I might add. That's a key point there. many people use them.
Yeah, don't try dropping them off at the UPS store. They probably wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
However, I wanted to reiterate what you said earlier in the webinar about ordering your supplies ahead of time. Both of you need to order these Priority Mail Assist orders now, because if it takes 7 days on a normal time, you're looking at longer than that during the holidays. So don't wait till you're 7 days out from running out. Order them early.
That's right, Kat. And I might add too, I'm not sure if many of you have been out to the post office recently, but they used to have a significant number of boxes there inside the post office for you to grab. It's getting, at least at our post offices near our company headquarters here, the supplies at the post offices are getting very, very small. So
same here.
Yeah.
And Eric, a point that you made earlier is very, very important. I have known people that have taken the priority boxes and turned them inside out and used them to ship through other carriers. I want to remind you, this is the government you're dealing with, and doing that is a federal offense. So don't get caught doing that.
Don't play games. Don't play games. Next question is from Marilyn Shipe. Do packages I put in my home mailbox get scanned either by the postal carrier or when they reach the post office? And I believe we covered this, but let's hit this one again.
Yeah,
if she puts them out.
So the USPS is doing a huge drive to get packages into the system more, and so while it's not technically required to get scanned, as many of you will, look at your delivery confirmation numbers now, you'll see that the packages are getting scanned, many more times than just a year ago, and even, much more than 2-3 years ago. If you just put it out there, the mail carrier is not required and most likely will not scan it on receipt of that package when he's grabbing it out of your mailbox. It's going to most likely get scanned once it hits the actual post office. They'll do scanning all the boxes. If you include a scan form, the mail carrier, when he's picking it up, he's required to scan that barcode. So You can do it even with one box, I believe. I don't think there's any minimum number that you have to use. So it's much more encourageable to use a scan form even if you have a small number of boxes.
And that leads directly into the next question from Stan Stankowski. How do I create a scan form in eBay or in PayPal shipping?
Kat or Mark, you might be better suited for that. I believe that eBay shipping does have scan forms. I think it's on a separate screen, however. It's not inside your actual shipping label process. Are you guys familiar? Or?
I have never done a scan form through eBay. Have you, Mark?
Honestly, I use stamps.com, so I don't know how to use it either. But eBay does have good customer service, so just go to the helpline and you'll get a phone number to call, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to help you.
And I'll tell you what, I will contact eBay after the webinar and get an answer from eBay and PayPal shipping, and we will try to put that on the topratedsellerwebinars.com blog page so that link will be there. We apologize for not having that answer, but there's no eBay employee here right now, so we really can't just give you the answer. Sorry.
Yeah, and I can say from just general shipping software programs, usually there's a particular tab. You go there, it's going to list all of your different packages, and you can pick and choose which packages you want to go into that scan form. So I'm guessing that eBay probably has a similar process.
Okay. We will try to get that answer for you on the blog. Next question is from Corinna Stevenson. Can the mail carrier who picks up the packages from me scan the form, or is it only once they got to the post office?
No.
Again, we're really interested in that scan form.
Yeah, absolutely. Every mail carrier that comes to your house and delivers mail carries a little handheld, scanner. It's very small. They will scan that scan form right then and there as they're picking up their packages. So every single mail carrier has that scanner on them. Now, maybe some of them don't walk around with it throughout their entire route, but they definitely have it. I believe they're required to walk with it. But if they don't have it on them at that point, they definitely have it in their.
Well, that comes back to Karina's next comment. Is my carrier told me she only scans on drop-off, and I think here where the disconnect is what the USPS is telling their people to do and encouraging their people to do, and perhaps what is actually getting done out in the field. Can you comment on that, maybe, Eric?
Yeah, the USPS is really pushing this very hard. They are encountering some resistance. I mean, there's some postal employees out there that kind of feel this is hurting their job security because it's automating the process more. Overall, scan forms are going to be part of everyday USPS mailing and shipping here soon. And so if you encounter any problems and someone's resistant to scanning it, I would just call the USPS help number that's on the USPS site and just explain your situation. And what they'll do is they'll convey that information and maybe bring up the actual instructions for each mail carrier with the local postmaster. So it's required. It's really required. If you offer the scan form, they are required to scan that barcode. And if there's any problems, just let the post office know.
You can also talk to your local.
Go ahead.
Sorry. You can usually talk to your local post office postmaster. They try to make themselves available to you. They're usually pretty nice to talk to. They want the business. Trust me.
Yes, that's very true, especially with the recent cuts. Next question from Stephen Burns. Where can we get the Tyvek USPS flat rate envelopes and the padded USPS priority mail envelopes?
You can get them through the USPS site. Just go into the free shipping supplies, and you'll see if you type in Tyvek, you'll see a bunch of different options will come up. They have quite a few options there, and they also have them for express mail also. And so you'll be able to see those. Just order them, and they'll send them right to you, just as a regular any of the free shipping supplies USPS offers.
I absolutely love those padded envelopes. We sell bubble mailers. It's about the size of a number 2. Whatever you can put in there, we'll ship for $4.95 anywhere in the country, and you can put books in there or CDs or anything. And it's one of the best new products the post office has put out. I love it.
Awesome. Next comment or question from Marilyn Shipe. On USPS.com, why does it sometimes say that the label is not available to be printed online and has to be done at the post office? Any idea why she might be getting that message?
The only thing I could think of, no, I can't think of. Well, maybe it could be on the USPS.com click and ship site. They only allow priority and express mail. they don't allow first-class parcels or media mail or any of those shipping labels to be printed. So I'm guessing that's probably what it is. If you're going in there and trying to choose, actually I don't even think they allow you to choose media mail. I think they just says go to the post office. So that might be, that's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise I'd have to get a little bit more info.
Yeah, and I would also try that support button on USPS.com and find out if there's an issue. Next question from Elaine Rosales. How can I combine scan forms for items that are printed at different times? For example, if I print some postage prior to 4 p.m. and more after 5 p.m., which has the next day's date, is she able to combine that into one scan form, or would she need to print 2 scan forms for that?
She would need to print 2 in that example. There is a cutoff, and I believe it's I think it's usually 4:45 local time. I'm not 100% sure on that. And so really what you want to do is once you add a package to a scan form, you can't take it off that particular scan form. So say if you had 10 packages in a given day, and at 1 p.m. you printed 4 shipping labels and you want to print a scan form, those 4 shipping labels would be on that first scan form, and then later in the day, if you add the additional 6, they would go on to a separate scan form. And there's no way of taking them off. In that example, you'd have to have 2 scan forms. And in this example, when you're printing shipping labels after a 5 p.m. cutoff time, those would have to go into the next day's scan form. One major tip of using scan forms is we always suggest you print 1 at the end of the day. That way you can get all of your packages on 1. And by the way, there is no problem if you have 2. It's the same process whether you have 2, 3, or 4 scan forms. It's just going to make it easier overall. But if you're able to have just 1, it's that much easier.
Okay, awesome. Another question from Marilyn Shipe, and I think this is another issue with the USPS website. Why can't I print all the customs forms necessary? Sometimes I can and sometimes I can't, and I have to take them in. I'm wondering if she's using a Stamps.com software or if she's using the USPS website, because we need that information really to answer that question. Do you have any ideas, guys?
For the USPS site, you can print customs forms on there. But you have to take the package into the post office because you're going to be putting the postage on, basically, or it has to be dropped off with an actual
okay, awesome.
post office.
That makes sense. If you're using the USPS site and not using a software program, then you can't not print the international postage. Another question from Marilyn, is it true that once a package leaves the U.S. borders, it can't be tracked anymore? Any comment about that?
Unfortunately, that is essentially true on the delivery confirmation. You'll see the exit point, but it really depends on what country you're working with. The USPS is working very hard to have different systems integrated in with the USPS system.
Okay.
Some countries you'll see a scan on delivery.
That'd be great. Okay, Carrie Bazzini has a question about regional rate boxes. Are those considered economy in eBay terminology? And again, we don't have an eBay employee here with us today, but since a regional rate box is priority, I would believe that qualifies as expedited shipping. Your thoughts, Mark and Eric?
Yeah, it is priority. It is expedited. It's as simple as that.
Okay, great. Comment from Gloria Johnson. My carrier has picked up for 3 years without pre-scheduling. They appreciate us. Recently, the higher-ups decided I have to schedule or else, so I scheduled for every day 3 months ahead. So Kat's right. Some are glad you have the packages and don't care about the extra 90 seconds of payment they get, and some don't. You're absolutely right, Gloria. My favorite answer, it depends. Talk to your carrier and find out. Comment from Sherry Gilson. A suggestion to find favor with the USPS carrier is to give him a gift card for Starbucks or anywhere else. Absolutely, that's a great comment, Sherry, for the holidays. I do know that there are limits to what they can accept, so check on that. Question from Stephen Burns. Do you know someone is breathing over an open mic? Yes, Stephen, we figured that part out. But thank you so much. We appreciate you being here, and we're getting better each time. Keep giving us feedback. I'm working through the questions. We have 40 more questions, and we're trying to finish. So let me just see if we have any more that we need to answer here. Quick FYI, the post office wants me to sign the first-class international mail form from Stamps.com, even though my name prints as my signature. This is from Candace Berry. That's very interesting. Eric, have you heard that from anyone else? The post office is asking for a signature, even though the Stamps form prints your name?
Yes. Candace, if you could email us that, we'd love to try to help your post office understand the rules. So If you can email me your account name, my email, enash@stamps.com. Again, ENASH@stamps.com. And we can hopefully get that fixed for you.
Okay, great. Comment from Gloria Johnson. eBay International software now autofills everything. It's recently improved. Just sign and send. Thank you for that update, Gloria. We appreciate that. Question from Elaine Rosales. Does First Class International require the plastic pouch? And I believe that's when you had to print the customs forms that had 4 copies. So, Eric, you want to take that one? Do we still have to do that?
You know, it would depend on the country and the weight of the total weight of it. If you're able to get a 2976, which is the short form, you can print that on as a label and just attach it to your package. If it is a 2976A, which is the multi-form customs form, that does require the plastic pouch.
Okay, awesome. Question from, or comment from Debbie Wider. Is there a quick way to find out all this info about the customs forms, or do I have to go through each country one at a time? Stamps.com brings it up as you ship, but as far as researching ahead of time, I can't think of a fast way that she would do that. Do you?
You know, I can't think of one either. I know it's certainly, you know, in researching this topic for this webinar, I think it's, we're going to definitely try to come up with some type of guide or something that kind of simplifies this process, kind of a one catch-all. So I'm not sure if the USPS has a resource for this. I'm sure that they do have an international mail manual. It could be in something like that. So if you were to type in USPS International Mail Manual, you may find it in there.
Okay, and Gloria Johnson asked if that kind of information is available on eBay. Do either of you know about that?
I believe eBay does have a link to a site, but I think it goes to individual country pages. So I think it's kind of a similar process as Stamps.com. I don't think it's like one page that lists all the different countries.
Okay, great. Carrie Bazzini has a question for Eric. Do you have any insight into the USPS rate increases coming next year?
A little bit. I mean, a little bit of insight. I know they're going to be occurring on January 22nd. They basically are trying to mirror the UPS and FedEx. As when every year they adjust their rates, and so the USPS is trying to kind of follow suit and be on par with the other mail carriers or other shipping carriers. I don't know what the rates are yet. We haven't seen them. They actually haven't even been announced. They're expected in the next week, so we should hear in the next week what those new rates will be for Priority Mail and Express Mail.
Awesome, and stick with Stamps.com to hear that. Comment from Vincent. I recently had a package international priority envelope shipped to France. Upon arrival, the receiver complained the package was compromised by water. Is there a way to ship international in a water-resistant priority mail envelope?
That's a good question. I mean, Tyvek is not necessarily waterproof, but certainly is a hard plastic that might repel water. We'll have to get on that.
Well, like I recommended earlier in the presentation, you can certainly wrap the items in a plastic bag before you insert it inside of your package. And then if the outside of the package gets wet, at least the inside of the package is protected from the water.
Good idea. Good idea. A question from Robert Wolf. What are some reasonably priced options for international that are not USPS? I have had customers that do not want me to use USPS, such as in Italy, but UPS is extremely expensive. Are there other options for shipping internationally?
I have been beating my head against the wall for a very, very long time to find better options, and quite frankly, there just aren't any. They're all very, very, very expensive.
Okay, we're in this with you. Thank you for sending the question. Regina Bean asks, I'm hesitant to ship internationally because I heard that for first-class international shipping there are box size restrictions. Do you know the max size box that will ship first-class international every time? Is there actually a box size restriction, guys, or is that a weight restriction only?
There is both, and it does depend upon the country.
Okay.
Is that correct, Eric?
I believe yes. Yes.
Yep. So, see, there's my it depends again. I'm getting my bell out, I promise. Okay, question from Heather Murphy.
I will say one thing. If you go
Yes.
to USPS.com, they have the absolute best shipping calculator I've ever seen, and they will walk you through step by step, by country, by size, by dimension, and they will tell you on a case-by-case basis what your limitations are. It is an awesome calculator.
Fantastic. Heather Murphy, biodegradable peanuts, Mark. Are they as good as regular peanuts for packing? They don't seem as firm or as strong to her.
Biodegradable peanuts is something that a lot of people want to use because they're eco-friendly. And in the past, they were not as good because there were issues. They were made out of cornstarch or sugar or whatever, and they would melt when you got them wet, or they would attract rodents or insects. They have gotten a lot better with using different ingredients, and there are different. Each manufacturer has their own formula, so to speak. But they do tend to be stiffer, and they do tend to be heavier. So it's going to add weight to your package. There are regular packing peanuts, there are the pink anti-static packing peanuts, and there are the biodegradable packing peanuts. If you're very eco-conscious, go ahead and try to find a good, solid, biodegradable packing peanut, and you can certainly call me and I'll help you with that because we do have some. But in all honesty, the pink anti-static peanuts are the best for the money. They're the least expensive, and they're the ones that provide the best package protection, and they also weigh the least amount than the other types. And being anti-static, they don't stick to your hands as much when you put your hand in the bag to try to get them out. So and those really are the best.
There you have it, the expert's opinion. I love that. Thank you, Mark. Ken Nielsen chimes in to let people know we've ordered USPS boxes 25 at a time, multiple times in the same day until we've gotten all the ones we need. We receive all of them about the same time depending on their availability. So thank you for that, Ken. I encourage people to order them. Narendra Dev chimes in and says the scan form does work with one box. Thank you for that. And I'm scanning through because we're 5 minutes over, but I think we're doing pretty well. And I see links. Charlie, thank you so much. Charlie Goki has sent us a link that I think is to the eBay information that we needed, and Karen has put some in there. We will make sure that all of these links are up on the blog for you. Heather Murphy asked, does eBay's Blackthorn software integrate with Stamps.com, Eric?
Unfortunately, not yet. We're not integrated with Blackthorn yet. We're getting ready to launch Pro Stores, so that will be up soon, but not with Blackthorn yet. It's on the list though, so it should be coming around the corner here fairly soon.
Awesome, awesome. And we are 7 minutes late, but I think we got all the questions, so thank you all so much for being here. We are very grateful for your attendance. Please tell a friend, and if you've got suggestions or comments or questions, please tell us. You can email me at kathysImpson@gmail.com. You can look us up at topratedsellerwebinars.com and leave a comment. Eric and Mark will be heading over to our Facebook group to have an open mic Facebook chat if you have a few more questions that possibly I overlooked or you didn't get a chance to ask. You go to facebook.com and search for Top Rated Seller Webinars. You will find our group there, and we would love to continue the conversation. Any last comments, Mark and Eric?
I will say one quick thing. My wife Robin is the research queen, and she just looked up online that the post office is seeking an average of a 2.1% increase across all types of mail come January.
Go, Robin.
My only comment is good luck, everybody, and hope you all have a healthy and happy and very successful holiday period.
Happy shipping, and thanks for having us.
We'll see you on Facebook. Bye-bye.